I wanted to have someone to help me make financial decisions. There was just something around like, I need someone else who I trust to help me be a part of this journey.
Out of all of your options, why did you choose Prosperity First?
Just gonna say we're biased towards color hair because, it's a dope ass look, okay? All of it, your whole vibe felt very free. It felt like you were someone who gave themselves freedom to be yourself. Your posts, they always had energy that felt very similar to mine. Starting in entrepreneurship, it felt important to lean into like woo or whatever. And I had just learned about my human design. And so seeing that you incorporate all of these things, especially being a reflector, I'm like, I need people who understand now because I just learned about it. I need people to understand how that factors into everything. You combined so many things that felt important to me, and so it just felt like a no-brainer.
What was it like working with Prosperity First?
It felt easeful. Most people who cater to entrepreneurs or are trying to sell a service to entrepreneurs, it tends to be very fear-based. If you don't do this now, this is how you'll fail. You were very much like, well, this is what I got. If you're here for it, great. And if you're not, cool. At the end, you had said, I know you're also a reflector, so you need to sit with your decisions for a little longer than most folks. You were very like, take your time. And that felt like the pacing and working with you. It always felt just like, listen, you're going to work how you work, and your boundaries were always really clear.
What pleasantly surprised you when working with me that you weren't expecting?
I still always felt supported by you. During a time where I was judging myself heavily and I was isolating myself from all of my support systems, you were someone that felt dependable, and it felt like there was still a way you were caring for me and showing support. And so I just knew that regardless of when my financial situation changed, this was something that I would incorporate differently as an investment. The trust that you built in that challenging moment for me just felt like, okay, I see why I made this decision. It felt very much like this was someone who was invested in me as a person. That was huge. I was better able to understand what my offers had to be and what they couldn't be. You helped me understand with the human design part, like, girl, you can't be offering 1-year packages. And it gave me the validation I needed because there were things I was holding on to about I should be able to do X, Y, and Z thing. And so I was a bit better able to start thinking of different offers. So I had my own blocks around putting them out and stuff, but I knew they were solid. And it totally shifted my mindset around profit and around money in my business and how my business was meant to sustain me and not the other way around. Just like as an understanding in general of moving forward with any business model, that's the no-brainer. That is the thing that I must incorporate. When I talk to people who are like, listen, I don't know about the bookkeeping, I don't know, or whatever, I'm like, listen, hit up my girl Shayna. Let me tell you why. One, you're gonna understand money differently and how it should work in your business. You're gonna have someone who's dependable who can help you understand what your offers can be. I feel like if there's someone who's already into the content you put out, you're very much the same person throughout all of it. When I saw your post, meeting you in person was like, oh, this aligns with the messaging you're putting out there. So for me, it's like if there's someone who's on the fence more so because they're like, okay, I like your style, but how is that gonna translate? It feels like it naturally translates. The first client I recommended is a trans client, especially because that's majority of the population I work with, to have trust that I can safely give that recommendation. Because again, there are some folks that I'm like, okay, I don't know that they're super trans affirming that happen to work with me, and this is my experience. But for me, it's like, oh yeah, you'll be safe with Shayna, and that feels super important. I think it's something that you didn't show discomfort around, and that just feels like the easiest part. I remember the one time you brought it up specifically. I was talking about public speaking and wanting to do more public speaking. It was a genuine question out of curiosity, like, hey, you didn't mention wanting to work with this population in particular, just noting that. Is that something that's important to you in your business? Even that, I really appreciated because I think I've gotten used to leaving that sort of language out of the equation with other folks who may not identify as that because there's a fear of making them uncomfortable around that. And so when you named it, it felt very much like, okay, you get that this is something that should at least be acknowledged in the space. And it was a general acknowledgement of like, hey, I may not be this, but I welcome everyone. And that genuinely felt true.